hitting go live, and it says we're live. Wow, that was instantaneous.
Hi, welcome to StockinetteZombies. I'm Amy, also known as Janitma.
And I'm Megan, also known as Just Run It. And this is episode 359, where I'm like obviously rocking a massive ping.
Yeah.
Like, immediate to go live. And we're live. So I want to warn people, I'm probably going to be touching my nose a lot throughout the podcast, and hopefully my nose does not start bleeding again. My nose this morning, I'm like in the middle of a Zoom meeting, right? And all of a sudden I'm like, what is, and all over like the project that I'm knitting during the meeting. And it didn't get on this sweater, thankfully. I was just like, what is going on? And then throughout the whole meeting, I'm like talking like this, right? So with my camera off, right? But still sounding pretty nasally. So hopefully I didn't just aggravate anything there by pinching it. But yeah, lots of like oscillating between it being kind of nice outside and then the heat constantly running, I think is what's causing it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my kids used to get nosebleeds occasionally, but I don't know. I haven't seen it. Maybe we're doing a better job at regulating or something.
Yeah, Jeremy, he came up and he's like, what are you doing? Because I have like, Kleenexes everywhere and I was holding my nose, and he's like, I put the humidifier away when we left for Costa Rica. And it was like, so it's your fault. But yeah, no. So again, just a heads up in case like there's a moment here, and hopefully it's not grossing anybody out. But you had an exciting last week.
Yeah, I went on the Minnesota Yarn Shop hop. My friend Sarah drove, and so I just got to be a passenger. I thought I was going to get so much more knitting done, but we were like, once you reach the first shop, it was like, I don't know, there wasn't enough time for me to like get my knitting out, feel comfortable before we were like looking for parking spots and whatnot. So I didn't get much knitting done, but I had a blast. It was a lot of fun. Trying to hit all those shops in one day was a whirlwind.
What was the count?
12. Wow. Yeah, I wasn't prepared. Like everyone gave me a sticker, and I have a folder with those stickers on it. The last time I did it, they gave us stitch markers. So it was different that it was just a sticker. I know that that's probably more convenient for the shop owners to be able to just hand out a sticker rather than a physical little, I don't know. I mean, a sticker is a physical little thing, but it's something that doesn't need to get made, right? You just send it to the printers and it comes back. You don't have to like have somebody sit there and individually make like a stitch marker for it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and you get a pattern at each of the shops. And what else happens? Every shop has a like colorway that's especially for them. This year there were quite a few shops that sold out in day one. Wow. Even though day one was like a miserable day. It was all
and it was also a Thursday, right? So like not a like weekend adjacent.
Exactly. So I guess a lot of people came out and they swooped in. There was only one place where I felt like the yarn wasn't there and I probably would have bought it, and that was Darn It Anyway, our very last shop of the day. Because they had a planned pooling pattern, and so the yarn was a planned pooling skein. So it was kind of like, oh, that's a really cute pattern, but now I'm going to have to find something. And it was DK, which I think a lot of my planned pooling skeins are fingering. So, just having the right thing to make that pattern later. It was also a very unique color from Hazel Knit. So, gotta like that. And yeah.
Was it a unique base too? Because I feel like Hazel Knits was one of them that Pivot decided to eat somewhere along the line.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Huckleberry?
You're right. You're right. Yep.
Yeah. So Hazel's been pretty safe.
Okay. It's not on the Pivot watch list,
Right, exactly. I will say though that if you haven't been to Darn It Anyways new makerspace out in Stillwater, it's gonna be a beautiful place. And we got to start having our birthday runaway again, just so that we can partake in that beautiful space.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and
So did they expanded out into kind of that mall area? Is that right?
Well, it's that restaurant that used to be next door.
Okay. Yep.
Is now 100% their space. So it has that big fireplace in the middle and lots of tables. And yeah.
It was like a pirate themed restaurant, right?
It was.
Okay.
They kept the chandelier, which isn't very pirate themed, but it's, a really big metal structure, and yeah, I don't know, it was fun. They made it very clean. They put some art for sale on the walls that's from a local artist, and
cool.
yeah, I really liked it. There was yarn bowls on the tables, and it was a very cute space, and it's definitely a bigger space for us if we wanted to do our runaway. I know that sometimes we felt kind of cramped into that back area there. It's way bigger than that now. We could do a million things there. I would also assume that at least in certain areas, and again, don't quote me on this, I didn't ask Amy, but it seems like we could order pizza or something, right? And stay there longer.
Cool.
Because it's the restaurant, so it has regular tables and booths and things.
It just struck me how like surreal it is to be talking about doing something like that again.
Yes.
So like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely was also surprised by I haven't gone out in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so right at when we should have just hit the shop real quick and then gone to find food, because everywhere we went had an hour wait. And we're like, well, I did want to like sit down and have a nice meal at the end of the day. I don't really want to just grab food on the road. And we had invited Karen to come up, so we had our celiac options, our gluten-free options. And yeah, so it was like, oh, well, I've checked off a lot of boxes for going out that I hadn't done in a very long time, right?
Yeah.
Waited for a table, had drinks, witnessed some drunk people. They were a little too tipsy for 8:00 in the evening.
That's fun.
Yeah, and wandered around downtown after the sun had set. Just walking to and from the car. But
was this in Stillwater, the end point?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So no, we had Mimi was asking where you were talking about, and that was Darn It Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Fabulous space. Like if we don't have an LIS in Rochester anymore, so if pressed, I would probably call that my LIS. Although Northfield is lovely and very close as well. So as is Muse 2320. So yeah, now I'm just naming off.
Yeah. So Muse is very small.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of the maybe an old style storefront, right, where it's very long.
Yeah.
Great.
It's a gallery,
but not very wide. Yeah.
Or galley style.
Yeah, galley.
Very,
yeah.
But we started there and ended in Stillwater. So started at Muse and worked our way west, and then
Stillwater is such a lovely little town too. So I really enjoy. You can go out and walk along the river there, and it's great. It's great. So ultimately, though, did you feel very like happy birthday because it was your birthday yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I had gotten my Della bag, the bucket bag.
Your camo.
Right.
Happy birthday to me.
Yes. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then we went out, got to meet up with Kirsten over lunch and Karen over dinner, and spend almost the whole day with Sarah. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, I definitely had you in my thoughts yesterday. In addition to it being Amy's birthday, apparently on Amy's birthday 4 years ago, I went, and it's a good day to get a kitten. So It was Sullivan's Gotcha Day all day yesterday. I just kept on telling him, I'm so glad that you're in our in our life. So I'm very glad to have you in my life as well. I'm glad that you were born, Amy. So
thank you. Same to
sometimes
you.
these things need to be said, right?
Yeah. There was somebody recently. It was on Instagram Reels where they were talking about, I want to use "I love you" or stop treating "I love you" like a birthday cake or a special occasion. Like just spread it around. So
absolutely. Lots of birthday wishes out there for you. Happy birthday, Amy. So, in addition to what sounds like a fabulous start to your weekend, we also got to, and she pronounced it so well, and do you know how to say Anna's last name? I'm like, it doesn't roll off of my tongue. Anna H. Of Mochi Mochi Land came and spoke with us. She was amazing. She is just so full of joy and fun, right? Like it just comes oozing out of her and all of her little characters she's so excited about. In addition to kind of sharing with us some tips and tricks at the end, which I thought were fabulous.
Toy makers, the eyeball one. It's like, oh, okay, now I know how to make your little eyeball.
Yeah. I was like, I think maybe I had been avoiding the little eyeballs and just doing kind of the ones that have the stays at the back because it was like, oh, I've never seen one of those made. So yeah, if you are a ZKN member, you have access to that video and you can go out and watch how Anna makes her eyeball. In addition to some other tips and tricks about putting arms in and how to get started on those really small starts on DPN. So super amazing time. It felt like the time flew and all of a sudden I looked up and it was like, oh my gosh, we're well past the hour that we were kind of shooting for here. So it was great. It was great.
I have always been a fan. It was fun to reminisce about some of her early patterns, that the little toys that I had made for my kids. Like the snake that eats the mouse, and you can actually, push it into the body so it makes like this little lump in the body. And I think that Harriet is still one of my favorite sheep to make, like a little stuffed sheep, so quick and small, but still substantial, kind of like a baseball size animal.
Your little Instagram photo of the little creatures watching her, like my heart went like, oh. I was like, that's so fabulous, Amy. I hope that she saw it and was like, her heart went, oh, like 20 times over because it was so adorable. Such a great pick.
Yeah, they were all lined up for the whole Zoom. And I could watch them while watching her. So it was like, oh, look, I made this one. And then, a lot of them were made for me when we did the mini exchange at ZK 2015.
One she made, right?
Yes. And I found one at Vogue Knitting Live that was actually made by Anna and had a little tag. I kept it all together. So, yep.
So fun. So fun. So coming up on our ZKN, events, we have Julie and Julia. We're going to watch that as a Friday flick, not this Friday, but next Friday. I believe that's the 22nd. And super excited about that. We were kind of brainstorming in one of the ZKN VKNs about like brioche is kind of a baking term, right? Like you can make brioche bread or brioche items. And so while I don't feel like Julia Childs is necessarily baking per se, there's a lot of cooking going on there too. Super excited to watch that. It's a cute film. A lot of joy there. And Amy Adams and Meryl Streep. Can't go without saying that, are awesome. So super excited to be watching that. And again, stay tuned, working with Alice and Karen on the knit strips, which will be in May.
Okay.
So super excited about that too. It's a beautiful book and a lovely concept of that interactive knitting. So I know I've seen a few people have bought the book and eager to kind of crowdsource some questions and get to chat with them. So
yeah, I think that we are also working on a zombie knit apocalypse email for the month. So might just be finalizing what things we want to include in that email, but one of them is definitely shirts.
And I got it done.
Yeah.
Amy put me on the spot on the podcast and I got it done.
Yeah, so we have our shirt designs and they're available, and we'll have a linky-loo to that in the email, as well as talk about the May-June knit-alongs, and then a call out for designers. So, or should not say designers, teachers. Yes. So if you have if you have a talent that you would like to share with the group, we've had a variety of classes that have been run in the past, all volunteer. And so you can either teach a class on a certain skill, you can host like a swap, you know, if you want to host a specific, I know that we had like a beer swap and a mug swap and things like that. So if there's something that you would like to see happen at the retreat, this is your opportunity to make it happen.
And it will get on the schedule.
Yep. And
the skill that you are providing there is not necessarily a knitting technique, but organization, which is fabulous. Amy and I get to exercise a lot of that skill with ZK. So we appreciate it when other people jump in and are like, I want to do a coffee swap, or I want to do a beer swap, or
yeah. So, and then the other thing that people have also done is, we're going to say, you know, it doesn't have to be something major. We had somebody who did like their own personal tips and tricks. And it was just a quick half-hour session. And they just told you some of the things that they've learned along the way. One that I really liked and hadn't really thought about is that if you're constantly measuring your underarm, what you can do is attach a string that's an off color to the underarm and cut it to the length that you want, and then just knit to that string length. And so that you don't have to keep pulling out a tape measure and figuring it out. And especially if you just find yourself measuring like every color change or whatever, you're just like keep measuring.
You're spending more time measuring than you are knitting. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one tip where it's like, okay, so you hang the string down to the length that you want, you cut it. So now you just know you need to knit to the string. And then no more measuring for that particular project because it's already attached to the side and pre-measured. That was one tip. And yeah, just other little things like that.
Yeah, I taught a Tunisian crochet class last year, which was a lot of fun, and did the entrelac Tunisian crochet, done like the OMG heel. If I get my act together, I might be able to do the afterthought OMG, because that would be super fun to be able to do within to do a little one within the class as well. But getting my act together, I guess I said it publicly, so now I'll be motivated. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people underestimate what they would be, the wonderful knowledge and skills that they would be able to share with others. So please give that a good consideration. The more the merrier there on things that we're able to bring us all together during ZK. So
yeah, I think that another one that I thought was really fun is Cindy brought in all the shawls that she had made from Rami Hill. Yeah. The mystery knit-alongs. And so it was just kind of like, oh, it's a chance to go see all of those particular things in person and be able to touch and ooh and ah. You know, I think that kind of gets underestimated too. Have you knit a series of something that is just really interesting to see all the differences? Like if Megan actually kept all of her Hitafudes, you know, if you could see them all, wouldn't that be interesting to see like all the different sizes and yarns that were used in the project? So yeah, anything like that. Get creative. We will find you the space, and we will limit it to your comfort level. So if you
Yep.
think that it's a 10-person class, it's a 10-person class. If you think it's an unlimited number of people class, we'll put you in a bigger room. Yep. And we'll put in the time blocks that you prefer. So if it's a half an hour class, an hour and a half class, we try to stay at an hour and a half as the max on the requirement. But other than that, anything that people would like to teach.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. For the intrepid folks that know where to get the shirts already, just a heads up, we had kind of thought possibly about having team-based ones. So if that's something that you're interested in versus just a generic one, that's not available yet. So I know Amy hasn't sent the links out, but I know that people know how to get to our Spreadshirt shop. So just a heads up. I don't want you to feel like, oh, I didn't know that team-based ones were coming. But
I didn't know they were either because it was something Megan mentioned, but now she's committed. So
I feel like it's recorded. It's on the record.
Yep. Well, I don't want to commit you to something that you might, not want to do, but you've committed yourself. So it's out there.
All right. Do we want to talk about these are a few of my favorite things?
So, as always, one of my favorite things is the online store, Eat, Sleep, Knit. Again, it's where I go when I'm kind of running out of basics and whatnot, because like Megan and I mentioned earlier, don't have an LYF. So sometimes, grabbing that basic is just going to an online store, has consistent fast shipping. So they have sent us some lovely yarns that are summer related, but I'm going to start with the bag. So they sent me
this green makes me so happy. Good yarn is always in season.
Yeah, and I love that the flowers are kind of little skeins of yarn, and yeah, it's really cute.
Super, super.
So that's a fun little zipper bag. Could fit a single skein project in there, or
I have been working so this one's kind of got a flat bottom. I've been working 2 skeins, but the actual project can't fit.
Okay.
In my ZKN one, so I guess you could see for size. Randomly in Costa Rica, my daughter was like, that's a really cool bag, like how you incorporated ZKN into the yarn balls and whatever. And I was like, who are you and what have you done with my daughter, or what do you want?
Yeah, what do you want?
What are you complimenting me for? Because normally I'm just cringe these days, but
right.
Super fun bag.
Yeah.
Do you have your
pin?
Then
we ended up with a 10,000 yard pin. So this one's a little wheelbarrow. So cute.
I want wheelbarrows full of yarn.
Absolutely. And they're kind of colored, to me, like, they're a harvest, they're got your corn and I don't know, potatoes,
squash
here. That's better.
I don't know what the blue one would be. Maybe like the heritage corn,
or maybe it's more flowers. Like they're wheelbarrowing some wheelbarrow. That is really.
I don't know what the correct verb is for hauling.
Hauling. There you go. I'm like, I wanted to make that into something, but no, I can't say that. Like my tongue is tripping. But then I also got these lovely purple yarns. So the first one
I got purple too.
Oh, you did? I got Flaxen Silk DK from Sweet Georgia.
Ooh.
So this is a 65% silk, 35% linen, and 248 yards. So very squishy and nice, purple. And then my other one is Princess Buttercup colorway, is Tangled Tower. So this is, of course, Yarn Love. I want to say, of course, Yarn Love, because Princess Buttercup fingering sounds like a name that they would use. And this is also
her bases are all off after historical heroines.
Okay, so yeah, she considers Princess Buttercup a heroine. We have 65% silk and 35% linen, but this one is more of a fingering weight. It's 490 yards. I flipped the numbers around.
Yeah. The only other one I can think of off the top of my head is Marie Antoinette. I know that that's a base of hers. I'm trying to think of other yarn base names, but Princess Buttercup is a fun one. And that's a unique put up.
Yeah, I think that this would make an interesting summer shawl, you know. So we got mostly silk.
You look like you could intentionally pool there too.
Yeah. So that's what
mine's Shibui Knit Twig, which is 46% linen, 42% recycled silk, and 12% wool, which is a really interesting kind of vase. I'm trying to look, so it's 190 yards for 50 grams. So that's pretty close to a fingering, right? 380 for 100 grams, fingering / sport-ish. Yeah, it's got a nice hand feel as far as, I mean, I think I can definitely tell there's a little bit of wool in there and silk.
Okay.
To offset that linen, right? So it's not 50-50 even, it's 54% non-linen and 46% linen, right? So it's a little bit more there. And my other one is Malabrigo Cicero, which is a breezy yarn, soft and light, 50% silk, 25% merino, 25% nylon. But this one's DK. So you can kind of see the silk looks a little bit more raw than it is in this one, and you get that shine and kind of depth of color where this is more of a uniform. So yeah, super fun. It's always interesting to see what comes our way. Do you have any thoughts as far as what you would make?
Well, not with one skein. I tend to like my silk linens to be a garment, but I will think long and hard. I do like this could be a one skein wonder shawl for the summer, right? It's not going to be too warm, although silk is warm, surprisingly so.
Yeah,
but yeah, and I really like the colors. I think that would make a nice summer shawl. But the one that's like, oh, it's just one skein, DK weight. I don't know. You could add 2 more, and you could make the top that I'm making for the test knit, because it seems like it's a similar put up, or at least the same similar base. I don't know about the put up though.
What was that? I feel like there was a hat by Tony Lipsy that Gigi was rocking.
Bucket head. Is it a bucket hat?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of them actually had a little bit of a brim. It was Tunisian crochet, so it was dense, right? Okay. Or maybe it was crochet, one of the two. But I feel like you could totally rock one of these linens for that. I don't know if it's sport or DK. Yeah. I need a purple hat.
I like that idea.
All about the hats now after I've gotten sunburned. I'm like, every time I go out, I'm like, bring on the hats. But yes, and then a very kind, I love the little kitties. Yes. All the kitties at ESK, a very nice note from them. So yeah, go check them out. If you're eyeballing a linen top or a summer top, or even as we've been mentioning, hat / shawl, they've got a pretty awesome selection of those kind of non 100% wool bases.
Yep. Yeah, and again, I go to them a lot for my staples. They have Cascade, they have Malabrigo, they have a lot of needles and accessories and things out there. And I know that the kitties will have it packed up and shipped within a day. So I do like that consistency that I've seen from them, for sure. And they do have a lot of indie dyer. So if you go out there and check them out.
Kitties are well connected with the indie dyeing community.
They really are. And they seem to add a few each year to the list. as they're going along. So definitely give them a shout out for being one of my go-to online stores.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know that you've probably got quite a bit of yarn since you visited 12 shops over there. I was going to briefly show the Beavalong. I've not started it, but I got my Magpie Beaver yarns in the mail. So this one is Dream Beaver. And then this one is Saturday Night Beaver. And then this one is Spicy Beaver. I love them together. I think that I would probably stage them like so. But I've not decided what I want to do with it. Mine's on Swanky Sock.
Yeah, so while I was out, my husband, like I'm going into work and he's here. Well, the cats like begged to get into the yarn room. And my stuff's all along the bed. So one of my blue minis from Queen City got sacrificed in his generosity. But thankfully they took that and not the beaver yarn. And so that I tucked it away somewhere and now I don't know where it is, but I got
you
some
hidden it from the cats
itself.
and from yourself.
Yes. So I really like the beaver yarn. I got my Evil Beaver pin.
Yep. So here's Evil Beaver. I got Evil Beaver again, Dream Beaver, and then Bougie Beaver. Our prizes will go into the prize pool for the brioche along. So I think I've seen we've got 2 entries in there. So make sure that you're getting your entries in. Again, it was a 2 month, so maybe everybody's waiting to the very end. But get your entries in because we've got some fabulous prizes here in the beaver yarn.
What is that, Megan? It's a landline?
Yeah, my phone is ringing. You talk.
Okay, so I went to the retreat and I was using my It's Not Okay. This is Hope for the Day charity. And I put some Shelly Can pins in there to make it more knitting related. But then, let's see. So some friends of the show, I got some lavender loom.
Ooh.
This was at Harriet and Alice's store. It used to be a very small store, but they recently expanded into an open loft area and lots of beautiful lighting. I have a feeling that they're going to have some classes and some really nice, knit night type spaces going on now that they have opened that up. And in that same space is their wall of spin cycle. So if you are having trouble finding it or you want to see it in person, they have it, lots of it. So I love this one. I got let's see, this is my flannel as my mini on that. And this is for the, let's see, I'm trying to figure out what it says, agate flannel. So is agate the colorway?
So pretty.
It's really fun, and that came with a sock pattern. And then another friend of the podcast, I got some Muse, and this is the I Stand with Kit colorway. It's in support of a trans youth in their neck of the woods. So it's got the blues and pinks of the transgender flag. And then, so just really fun.
Is that a sock base?
Seems to be getting washed out. Yep, and this is their Mockingbird. It's 80/20. Let's see, what else did I get? So Farmer's Daughter's Fiber, I don't get a chance to see those colorways a lot in person. So I was able to get 2 new skeins of Recollect because they were colors that I really liked, but I hadn't seen in person yet. So now I know that those are colors I like, and I will be able to purchase more in the future. But then Needles and Skein had a sale bin of this lovely purple, but it was like a stellina base. that must not have been doing well. But colorway is Bison Princess. And they had like a lot of really beautiful greens. And so I don't know how many people we're talking to in the area, but Needles and Skein, I love Farmer's Daughter's fiber. And so to get this at 30% off was kind of like a mine. And then when we went to Knit and Bolt, they had a skein of yarn that wasn't my colors for this year, but they still had kits from their 2020 crawl that never happened, right? It got canceled. And so this is basically, it's not schlub, it's tweedy.
Okay.
So you had a tweedy base and then a mohair of the same color. And then they had an example of a reversible hat pattern, and they gave me the code, the Ravelry code for that 2020 pattern. It's on the side of the ball band, but so I can knit their reversible hat from that.
What's the dyer on that one?
This is Tripping with Dixie Fiber Co.
Okay.
Okay. And then the last one, but not least, this one came from B Lakefield, Lakeside, I think. It's in Excelsior, Minnesota.
Yep.
So they had a really beautiful crochet pattern that was kind of a loop, and it looks like little knitted daisies in the pattern. I'm having trouble reading the pattern right now. I might need help, but because I tried it and ripped it out like 3 times this week already. But the yarn that went with it is a sport weight yarn. It's beautiful, kind of springy looking colors.
Yeah.
And it's from Northern California, the Speckled Finch Studios. So
Ready.
I hadn't tried this yarn dyer before. They were getting down to slim pickings by the time I got there, but they did have knit examples of every single color, and they were pre-ordering, but I just really did happen to like the one that was available.
Yeah.
So
I like that pop of color.
Yeah, it's really speckly, and it's got those lovely golden colors. So the base is kind of a yellow, but a faded yellow. And that's all I got. So I did pretty good. No sweaters came back with me, but it's still 7 skeins of yarn.
Single ladies.
Yeah, single ladies. But these single ladies, I got good basics. You know, I feel like they will go with other things. Like I got that muted speckles, muted that agate color from Lavender Loon. That's kind of a good catch-all. I think the only like quote true single lady for me would be the I'm with Kit. Like I think that this will be its own sock.
Yeah,
in the future.
Yeah. Well, my phone tried to interrupt me, not my nose, so that's a good thing, I guess. The only other thing that I got from Magpie Fibers was their new plume base, which is I think a really great alternative for folks that maybe have a mohair or an alpaca aversion or allergy. Because this is 75% cashmere, 25% silk. But like you can see, it has like kind of that halo and fluff to it. This is possibly the softest thing I've ever felt. It is so soft. So soft, in fact, that like I swear when I was coming out here, I had both of the ball bands on, and it was like, it just like migrated down somewhere from the yarning room into here. So yeah, super excited to hold this with something. I was telling people I could probably hold it with like 100% merino and turn it into an MCS, right? Or like somebody was mentioning, I could also hold it with something that has cashmere, like the Swanky sock, but I don't know, like, is that too much cashmere? Like, just like melt into a puddle of softness.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like the idea of using it for an alternative to a mohair. I wonder how it would work individually. It's like in the pattern, the rocket tee I'm knitting now, right? You have a single mohair stripe with a
or the Elton, like I did, right? Where you're just using it held single. I think the silk is giving it the a little bit of that tensile strength, so that it's not just going to go poof and separate. Was given a little bit of like, mohair won't let that happen, but with the staple length or this, of cashmere being such that it's kind of a more ephemeral fiber, right? I think maybe that's why the silk got added in there. So
okay.
But I'll let you know.
Awesome.
Right now, I'm just happy to like have it and hold it and call it my own. This is Midnight, or not Midnight, Velvet Underground, which is again, you're seeing probably like a brown / dark color back there, but
purple,
it's really, purple. Really, depth of color is high on it, where you'll get a nice little purple haze with whatever I work with it with. So we have been chatty Cathy's today.
Yeah, we might need to wrap it up.
Lots to share. So thanks for joining us, and see ya in your inbox for ZK or ZKN, upcoming VKNs, or next week.
Yeah, and get your entries in for that brioche, because man, that
prize is
really pretty.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Ufta. Yeah, I look down and I'm like, shit.